As teachers, we could not tell if students had math concepts that were being probed, but at the same time, the language was so difficult, the language was so problematic that we couldn't really find point or really say, is this a language barrier? So we dived deeper to adopt as a team and modify the information that was given, leading to this systematic approach that you will experience or have a chance to go through in a similar manner that we went to what we found as critical items and critical practices in order to attack the very first problem that we had.
We wanted to take a look at how we could still assess students in my class. So we took a look at this geometry probe, which at the beginning of the unit, and you can see that the very first question is just identifying the two-dimensional shapes, and then talking about defining and non-defining attributes and describing a 3D shape. Over the years that I've given this district probe, lots of students tended to leave the last two blank because they hadn't acquired the vocabulary they needed in order to understand the questions. We realized that we were focused really on what vocabulary was being used, and we needed to modify it so that we can really see what students knew without using too much vocabulary that they hadn't learned yet. So we decided to just give the visual of the 3D shape, putting a cube there, and then just have them tell us what they saw when they looked at the shape. When we look at the 3D shape question, you can see that our English language learner was able to identify the shape as a cube. So it did tell me that she did learn something or know something about 3D shapes. And then again, the native English speaker able to tell me that it was a cube, it was solid, made up of squares, and had lots of corners. So just that use of that visual representation and rephrasing that question for them drastically changed my student output and what I was learning about them as a math learner. I was wondering if we could change it to a number bond problem.
I like that. I also saw somewhere in the standard the usage of word and same as, which, were critical, especially coming from kindergarten, so that can be added as well.
Is there an opportunity for the student also to either explain the strategy or use some type of language to talk to or speak to either what they did or why they used it? I feel like that too can give us information.
I like that you brought that back, Christine, because sometimes we forget. We're just so, we're trying to almost decompose our thinking. And you can see that this is the prerequisite original is in the gray on the top right corner. Keep in mind that when we did this work, we also noted the progression. So we really went and reviewed as to, is this really appropriate to language development, as well as making it visually appropriate. So you would see how we went from a group of 5 by circling. You will see the next question below. We move from simple, just abstract numbers and algorithm to a word problem. So we gave students some content as well as kept the language simple, but not necessarily dumbing down.
The fact that you are generating an opportunity for your students to talk to you or write to you about their understanding in a way that they may not have had a chance to do before, because you've made it much more accessible and doable for them. So that's really something key.
I've learned a lot throughout this whole process, but I think that what I came to the team with and looking at the probes, I was really looking for how I can assess my students and really gain more information and knowledge on what they knew about math and how can I help them excel in math. Being able to talk with your colleagues through some things and look at the problems was so helpful for me, and spending the time with the team to kind of talk through the problems and see how we can change them has definitely changed the way I look at assessments.